morning and welcome to the show. Kusile breakfast show sakuvusela nawo la usibukela khona umsakazo Eswatini TV. Nonvuselako ngulungelele Makako line with my co-host Umguni Lapha Sifiso Nxumalo. We are coming to you live from Hospital Hill in Mbabane. Makhona ke nekusibukela ka YouTube likhasi lethu Eswatini TV. Good morning and welcome. Mguni, how do you do? It's a Friday.
Doing well. I'm in my linen shirt. You can tell very light work today.
Study weekend. I'm excited. I'm always excited.
I'm just
for
going
the
to
weekend.
rest, man. Our job is texting.
Yes, it is.
We are here. From their comfort of their bedrooms and whatnot. But very excited to be here again today. We thank the Lord Almighty for blessing us with yet another gift of life. It's just for us to be here presenting this show to you wherever you are, Lapo, Emaka, whether in Eswatini or outside of Eswatini. It's a very good morning, very good day. Thank you for joining us once again this Friday morning.
Mbukeli uyati ukuthi on Friday sihlale siba nabo labasuka ka ERS sikhuluma dona nje tindzaba temthelo, so we'll be joined by ERS Communications Director nje mtakhumbula nje ukuthi bosomabhizinisi laba accredited emaveni lafa ekhathi Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Namibia and South Africa will now benefit from lower trade costs and quicker turnaround times for imports and exports. Lokho kulandzela ukuthi kube nesivumelwano lesasayinwa ngilamave lasihlanu ngaphansi kwenhlangano isakhu ngenyanga yamabasa kulomnyaka. The heads of revenue administrations in these 5 countries have agreed to recognize each other's importers and exporters who have been granted the status of an authorized economic operator, AEO. So traders who are AEOs across the SACU region will now benefit from fast-track controls and also reduced administration costs for customs clearance. We'll be joined by ERS Communications Director Vusi Dlamini. Adasiniketa nje update ukuthi engabe vele ihamba kanjani uptake yabo somabhizinisi nama traders nje since SACU SG Khasipe introduced the program. Dasicazela kabanti ukuthi yini vele kahle le AEO. He'll be joining us namuhla at 6:30.
Sonera joins us later on the show. Kukhulumisa demidlalo, particularly football. A lot of football fans are excited all over the world because the English Premier League makes its return. What to expect when the Premier League returns this weekend? Manchester City will try to retain the title for a record 4th consecutive season, even as Arsenal, Manchester United and Liverpool plot their own wins. Manchester City begin their defense of their Premier League title away to newly promoted Burnley on Friday as Pep Guardiola's men look to hold off an ambitious group of challengers to their crown as English champions. Once again, Arsenal and Manchester United have spent big to try and, end their long wait for a league title, while Liverpool and Chelsea are expected to bounce back from last season's disappointment. But another transfer window of major investment by English club has been overshadowed by lavish sums, luring even some of their league's best talent to Saudi Arabia. Cristiano Ronaldo, solo Africa, Saudi Arabia, nothing has been the same there since Cristiano Ronaldo's debut for Al Nassr. He sent shockwaves through the football world when he announced that he was moving to Saudi Arabia to play for Al Nassr, and ever since then, big sums of money solo nje ayachichelwa kulerishwa badlali ukuthi bahambe bajoina leya league leya kanti siyababona vele badlali baya. We also want to speak briefly on Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi with Fabrice, just their PR and what they have done for these leagues solo bafikile on their respective countries. Obviously Messi in Miami playing for MLS, what a debut, as well as Cristiano Ronaldo doing great things in Saudi Arabia, not just how he's playing but the impact that he has made for the league, seeing some of other soccer giants going there to play with him, what he's done for that league. We want to talk about that. We also do want to talk about the Premier League, South Africa. My games is Sundowns losing to, Mamelodi Sundowns beating Kaizer Chiefs 2-1 on the 9th of August, and Orlando Pirates beating Real AM 4-2 on the 8th of August. Nalamanye results. Let's start with Fabrice Msonera when it joins us at 7:30. Don't go anywhere. It's going to be an exciting one.
Right, it's 5 minutes after 6. Let's take a look at our newspaper headlines this Friday. Welcome back. Sicala ngekubuka i-Times of Eswatini kube nengodi kuyitolo kushone bantfu labatsatfu kwalimala labangu-14 ku-head collision kunqunzane i-Quantum kanye neloli itolo Ntambama. Two elections bills passed into law, votes to be counted at polling stations. Bills get His Majesty's assent. Votes will now not be taken to one center for counting. Kwelinye ihamba embili, King summons imbali umhlanga holiday has been confirmed. Kanti kulenye ihamba embili, 1,400 minimum pay for domestic workers.
Yeah, Demidlalo ku Times of Eswatini. BAF dodge 1 million emalangeni CAF bill following withdrawal from Continental Tourney. Sponage security forces side was due to fork out a tidy sum for first 2 rounds of e-Confederations Cup. Kanzige kupinze kubeneye Kemani la pasbona MTN Kemani Cycle Classic. MTNC always handing over a check 350,000 emalangeni. Kanzige kulenye lehamba embili, Hurricane has been offered, or rather Hurricane 95 million pounds offer has been accepted. Kulenye lekichima embili, no stands for Hospice Cup. Inzabakele nale kulumisa an inspection at the King Sopuza II Memorial Stadium. Lapho khona kurevilwe ukuthi supporters have to enjoy the whole day watching the inaugural Eswatini Hospice at Home Charity Cup.
Kanti kulethamba embili Eswatini Observer nakhona indzaba lamba embili ngendzaba yengoti lapho khona kushone labatsatfu enhlambeni. There was a head collision between a Quantum and a Toyota Fortuner. Kulenye lihamba embili on page 2 and 3, people arrested for 5 guns. Some of the guns were stolen at Sitobelweni police post. Kulenye lihamba embili indzaba yemhlanga umhlanga holiday has been announced. Kulenye lihamba embili, more dramas, Anglican Archdeacon relegated.
Kutemidlalo Eswatini Observer leading headlines, Buffs face CAF ban. Amiside Young Buffaloes could be handed a ridiculous 3-year ban from participating in any CAF competitions should they fail to partake in the forthcoming CAF Confederations Cup. Lenyeke lekichima embili, that's a tough draw for Buffs ladies in COSAFA qualifiers, as Young Buffaloes will have a tough test in the upcoming CAF Women's Champions League COSAFA qualifiers after being drawn in the same group as South African giants Mamelodi Sundowns. Another one says Botsotso new Sitshebe head coach. Inzabakelele Kulmisa former Seven Dreams head coach Zwelibanzi Botsotso Khoza, who is now the senior women's national team Sitshebe Semhlekazi head coach. Those are the leading headlines kuma sports Eswatini Observer.
Asikena sibuka Eswatini Daily News lomhla kongolesihlanu indzaba lamba embili lapha ekoneni, internet service providers in Eswatini increased to 21. Kulenye lethamba embili, Eswatini group chickens out of Esponet fight. Kulenye lehamba embili solonge indzaba yemhlanga mhlanga holiday has been announced.
Kutemdlalo Eswatini Daily News, the leading sports headline there is Tony TT for Swallows managerial position, long-serving and most decorated club captain. Tony TT Tsabetse tipped to take over as club manager in the new Loop Management Committee that has already started executing its duties ahead of the 2023 season. Nzabakeleyo letfalakala page 23 pelele kanzike kule qhamuka ngephandle kutemidlalo kuma leading headlines. Tottenham accept $110 million Kane bid. Kanzike Buffalo's ladies is to face South African Sundowns. Those are the 3 leading sports headlines kwiSwatini Daily News.
10 minutes after 6 asibahlete makethe nasibuya siyida uthatha indaba tethu eSwatini.
Umsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eVeni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba letentiya ngaleso sikhatsi, tindzaba letide magama lacosheme, letitsembekile, letitsintsa tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni.
Kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo netemhlaba wonke jikelele, siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhatsi letenteka ngaso.
Kanti kulo msakato siphinde sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letiqhamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lotiletselwa ngumsakato wetitfombe iEswatini TV.
Phindze sikwamukele lihlelweni Kusile Breakfast Show sithathe tindzaba talapha ekhaya. Silo Nkosi Mswati wesithathu sesimemete libutfwa lembali ukuthi liphelele esigodlweni elisitsini emkhosini wemhlanga walonyaka. Lokhu kubakele ngeNkhosatana sakhizwe ngesikhathi yenta simemetelo semkhosi wemhlanga esigodlweni elusitsini. Libutfwa olibhekeke ukuthi liphelele kutawubhalisa mhla tinge-24 kulesetulu.
Uyezwana lalela ngikutshele tindzaba letibuya enkosini. Uthi okandaba tintfombi imbali yemaswati ayiphelele esigodlweni elitsitsini mhla tinge-24 enyangeni yeNgci. Titawufike tibhalise ngalelo langa. Kuyawuphunywa mhla tinge-30 bese kugecwa umhlanga mhla tinge-31. Titawubuya mhla lulunye kuyo inyoni. Tiyaphumula mhla titimbili kuyo inyoni. Tiyawuchitsa umhlanga mhla titintsatfu bese kuyagidvwa mhla titine. Bese tiyakundiphethe mhla tisitfupha. Umyalo etikhulwini. Nguleso naleso sikhulu kudzingeka sikhiphe emajaha lamane kutsi achube tintfombi kute kutsi nangabe kukhona kungaphili kwalomunye webamfana, mabili emajaha abikele labo labafanele, nekutsi abikele batali noma lomfana asafakwe esibhedlela. Nawo lamajaha ayati kutsi tintfombi tilala todvwa nemajaha alala odvwa. Tikhulu tiyayalwa kutsi tingakhiphi bantfwana labancane ngoba ngekwesweleka kwemhlanga etfutani labamfana ababe basakhona kuhamba indzawo lenze. Siyimbali yemaswati sichakazile sitayincoba iCOVID. Usho njalo mlomo longacali manga. Bethe wena phakathi. Lokhipa simemetelo iNkhosatana yembali sakhizwe. Nine bekunyene. Imbali iyatiswa kutsi ingeti netinele tekwebolekwa. Inga make-up, inga rouge. Obabe tikhulu abayele bantfu labangaphasi kwabo kutsi bangalokotsi batsinze noma bashaye libutfo. Nakwendekile lokho, nalo lilahle kubo. Tintsatseli tekhaya netangephandle tiyayalwa kutsi titsatsisise kahle ngaphambi kwekutsi tibhale. Bethe wena waphakathi.
Indvuna yetemabhizinisi nekutsengiselana amanqoba akhumalo setfule ngalokusemtsetfweni umkhankaso wenkampani leyakha tinatfo Eswatini Beverages lobitwa ngekuthi yi-Eswatini Responsible Trading Program. Lo mkhankaso uhlose kukhutsata emabhara nemabhodlela sitolo kutsi agcine umtsetfo. Emabhizinisi latawuhamba embili atawuhonyeliswa kanti-ke lokunye lokutawubukwa kutsi bantfwana batsengiselwa yintjwala.
Akusiko sonke isikhathi lapho kumele kuhlalwane khona kubhongwane nakukhona lokunakele. Uhulumende ne-Eswatini Beverages sebasukumise umkhankaso lotawukhutsata emabhizinisi latsengisa tshwala ukuthi alandzele umtsetfo.
Siyajabula kakhulu ukubona ukuthi ngiyibona labathathe isinyathelo sokuqala ukuthi no lokhu singakulungisa ngoba sina noma sibhizinisi sakha imali asifisi ukuthi sakhe imali kube kulimala sive kepha-ke sifuna ukuthi selekelele ukuthi labo labathengisa letinatfo letakhiwa ekhaya bawulandzela umthetho. Kungako-ke bathula nalolu hlelo olubitwa ngokuthi i-Responsible Trader Program.
I-Eswatini Beverages ithi ifuna ukukhuthata kwenda tintfo ngendlela lengiyo.
We are championing responsibility starting today. Beer has a very special part of our heritage and culture, and it's been there for many years.
Simahlandlela ukuthi bantu batiphathe ngendlela lengiyo. Biya sewube ingcenye yempilo yethu kanye nendlela yethu yekuphila sikhathi lesitse. Siyakholela ekutheni kusebenziswa kwabhiya akube ngulokungeke kube nemthelela lomubi. Lokhu kubita ukuthi sikhuthatane futhi sende imango ikhulu ekusebenziseni bhiya. Futhi lokhu kusale kuba injwayelo.
Lo mncintiswano utawuloku uchubeka kanzi labatawuhamba embili batawulungiselwa titolo tabo kabusha baphindze bacuphiselwe ngemanani laphansi. Labatawulandzela batawutsengiselwa ngemanani laphansi kanzi labangeke baphumelele batawusonzelelwa bakhutsatwe ukuthi bende tintfo kangcono. Ndzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela ngikumatsapha.
Lihhovisi lamabhalane wephalamende selicale umsebenzi wekwakha bhukwana lotawusetjentiswa ekufundiseni emalunga ephalamende ngetingoni letahlukahlukene lekumele atati asachuba umsebenzi wawo. Mabhalane wephalamende Benedict Xwaba uthi babambisene netinhlangosi letahlukahlukene kulo msebenzi kanti-ke bahlanganele ehhotela le-The George kaManzini.
Kwasimhla til-11 enyangeni yakholwane kulosetulu silo semhlaba ingwenyama inkosi eMswati yesithathu sayigucisa iphalamende kwathi sekuthi live selicale umsebenzi lomkhulu wekukhetha lo wendiwa njalo ngemva kweminyaka lesihlanu. Kubheke ukuthi mhla tinge-24 enyangeni yeNyoni kuphume emalunga ephalamende latabaqhamuka etinkundleni. Kubhekekile ukuthi ati kwekuthi yini kumele ayende nale kumele angayendi asachuba umsebenzi wawo.
Lamhla njalo ngishilo ukuthi le office la ka-AG sibe nabo Human Rights Commission kube nabo anti-corruption sekuba-ke bo legal advisor abaqhamuke ematikweni lehlukene sisachubeka sisahlangana labanye lesitawubonisana nabangibekise nje setawuhlala nabo regional administrator ukuthi nabo bafake umumvo noma umbono ukuthi bangasebenta kanjani nebahlonishwa mase bakhona ephalamende. Lo munye uthi make emva ukuthi mase ngilunga lephalamende vele sengivikelekile eniveni letinyenti so sitawukhona ukuthi umhlonishwa simfundise ukuthi uvikelekele makunjani-ke kuze kuthiwe soyitholile lawo ma-privileges lenawo iphalamende.
Caba uthi letinye tetintfo letimcoka lekumele emalunga ephalamende lamasha atati asathatha umsebenzi wawo sifungo sawo umthethosisekelo welive leSwatini, inqubo yephalamende kanye nendlela yokutiphatha nawulilunga lephalamende. Lobika kwetindzabeni teSwatini TV ngumbongo waDube nampendulo Gumbi kalobamba.
Inhloso yekutfola emasu netindlela letinsha tekusombulula tinkinga letahlukene ngetebuchwephesha libandla lelengamele tekuchumana selihlomelise inkapani lesukumise lisu lekugcina imphahla pheceleti-ke i-parcel storage ngemali lenkanga 100,000 emalangeni ngephansi kwemhlomelo we-Innovation Challenge. Umphathi walelibandla Mvila Wempi Dlamini uthi umsebenzi walelibandla kuniketa eMaswati lanemicondvo lekhaliphile kuthi akhangise ngetintfo labatisungulile letawenta impilo yeMaswati kuthi ibe ngilengcono. Dlamini bekakhulumana ketfula labahambe embili kulomchudzelwano we-Innovative Challenge.
Tinkampani lethambe embili emncintiswaneni we-Innovation Challenge yalonyaka tfake ikhatsi inkampani ibiyela Africa, i-Dig Image Investment kanye ne-Techno Friends. Etfula labahambe embili umphathi welibandla lelengamele tekuchumana Mvila Wempi Dlamini uthi-ke emantfombatana solayaselela emuva ngoba kungenele licembu linye lemantfombatana.
In accordance with our mandate, the Commission is firmly committed to fostering innovation and ensuring sustainability and driving continuous development within the ICT industry. Embracing the theme of promoting sustainable digital services development in Eswatini. Further, and regrettably, there was no winner in the ICT for agriculture category. Yet agriculture plays a vital role in our society.
Salibona Nxumalo lohambe embili kulo mqhudelwano uthi ke basahlanganisa indlela tekuthi imsebenzi wabo uvikeleke.
Haven't done much in that regard because we were sort of also just excited about having a solution. That's one of the first actions that we need to take to patent the solution and make sure that we secure that IP.
Tingapane lingenelelo mncintiswano kulo mnyaka tibe ngu-42. Etindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni nginathemba Shabangu kumathapha.
Kushone bantfu lababili labafaka ekhatsi umvana engotini lendeke emgwacweni iyithi abantu highway. Ngekusho kwelisekela lemchumaniso maphoyisa nesive noSipho Mnguni lengoti yendeke ngesikhatsi kushayisana iQuantum kanye nemotolo elihlobo lweFortuner lebeyishayelwa ngumuntu wesifazane lobekahamba nebantfana labane. Mnguni uthi munye walabantfana ubese uyashona kanti ke nemshayeli wale Quantum naye ubese uyashona. Mnguni uthi imbangela lengoti yamaphoyisa asayiphenya. Libandla lelengamele tekuchumana kuleli seletfule timvume tekusebenta tekuniketa lusito lwe-internet letintsatfu lokuyi OGIP Investment, Starlink Eswatini kanye ne-Micro IT Solutions. Umphatsi waleli bandla Mvilawemphi Dlamini uthi letinkampane setingete leto betilishumi lebetikhona eveni. Dlamini uthi leli bandla lifuna kutsi imakethe ibe nguleyo lenekucudzelana. Dlamini bekakhuluma naketfula timvumo taletinkampane kumathapha.
Sitonika ngokusemthethweni ama-license lamathathu kutotultona leti tekuchumana lengathi pheceleti nje ngama-ISPs shothi ma-providers nje internet ma-internet service providers. Le kusithethe licanyana nje ke ukuthi siwende lo msebenzi nathi ke nasibuka lokwa nalokwa sikhanze vele ethi ukuthi asisita kuwangeta njengoba nale market nje naloku nje mala ISP zethu asatawuba la bo 21 22 kepha ukhanzathi kusena mabili mathashwanyana lengona vele a dominator kule sector. Kanti phela sisuke singetela lokuthi kufuna kube ne-competition la ku-sector kuze ukuthi abantu batothola ama-services langawo. So-ke ngeke ukhandathi solo siyachubeka nje ngoba nalo mthetho uyasivumela ukuthi sichubeke siwangete ukuze sitothola futhi nabo lesingathi nje pheceleti i-best in class service kuloku ngoba sesihlala emhlabeni lesithi digital world. Le noma ngawukuphi ukhanzathi uyakhompyutha nalokuphi nalokuphi.
Lihotela lelibitwa ngekuthi Hilton Garden Inn selifundzise tisebenti talo kabanti ngekushushumbiswa kwebantfu. Leli hotela lithi lifuna kuhlomisa tisebenti talo kuze tawukhona kubona emakhasmende lakhomba timphawu tekushushumbiswa bese kubikelwa bemtsetfo. Lomhlangano sikolwa bewuchutshwa ngemaphoyisa nebaka World Vision.
Tikhulumi kulomhlangano sikolwa tivetile ukuthi 60% wemacala ekushushumbiswa kwebantfu emhlabeni endeka emahotela.
Sing Hilton Garden Inn Babane kumcoka kakhulu ukuthi sibe nekuyi capacitator le team yethu ngato letincabekelwane te human trafficking ukuthi bakhone kuwabona lawo ma signs naka presented to them bakhone nekwekuthi bathathe the necessary steps in order to report lama cases anti-human trafficking.
Amaphoyisa athi onke emahotela kufanele afunze ngekushushumbiswa kwebantfu.
Lengakukhuthata ngokuthi the line of reporting ibe clear and kube ngilephuthumako so that ungatokhanza ukuthi sebam-identify lo muntu but sasikhathi lesitse so lokupotelwa sibani ithi kumbe seyifika emaphoyiseni okhanze ukuthi hawu sohambile lo muntu.
Baka World Vision lababukele bantfwana bathi tisebenti temahotela kufanele tibe neliso lelikhaliphile etindzabeni tekushushumbisana kwebantfu.
Ukhanza ukuthi Eswatini ngilona live labathi ngesilumbi ngathi transit country noma ngilaba afike bathole stage khona sekushushumbisa labantu. Lokushoni ke lokho kusho ukuthi sinabo laba letigila mkhuba laveni and akungendeka kube bantu labaphuma kulamanye amave bafike bandluliswe la kuleli live baya kulamanye, but lokusho ukuthi nebantu bethu basengodini ukuthi nabo tikhanza sebathathwa bahanjiswe kanye nalapha.
Ligoli lesiphohlongo lentuthuko yamhlabuhlangene lekhonsako libita wonke ukuthi acedze kushushumbiswa kwebantu nganome ngusiphi sizatfu kungakafika umnyaka wa 2030. Tinyatselo letifana naleti lesetitsetfwe yi-Hilton Garden Inn ngito letitawusita leSwatini libalelwe emaveni lenta kahle emlandvweni. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela, nginamuze Mkhonda eMbabane.
Kutemidlalo indvuna yetemidlalo Harris Bulunga ithi umchudzelwano we-MTN Khemani Classic Road Race uyingxenye yemichudzelwano lapha eveni ledlala inzima lenkhulu ekuthuthukiseni umdlalo wemabhayisikili lapha eveni. Indvuna Bulunga beyikhuluma nayisukumisa ngalokusemthethweni umchudzelwano walonyaka waka-MTN Khemani Classic Road Race lapho khona inkampani ya MTN isekele lo mchudzelwano ngemali lengu-350,000 emalangeni.
Usukunyiswe ngalokusemthethweni umchudzelwano we-MTN Khemani Road Classic Race walonyaka lapho khona inkampani ya MTN isekele lo mchudzelwano ngemali lengu-350,000 wemalangeni. Ikhuluma kulo mcimbi indvuna yetemidlalo Harris Bulunga ichazile ukuthi lo mchudzelwano udlala inzima lenkulu ekuthuthukiseni umdlalo wemabhayisikili lapha eveni.
Such sponsorship, we have been able to produce excelling athletes, and in this case, cyclists, who have gone on to represent the country in races even outside our borders.
Umphathi we-MTN Eswatini Wandile Mtshali uthi kwesekela lo mchudzelwano kuyindlela yabo yokubuyisela esiveni.
We are going to receive cyclists from Eswatini, Jibangisho, but also we've invited quite a number of international cyclists that are coming to Eswatini. They've already confirmed that they'll be here on the 9th of September.
Labanye labakhulume kulo mcimbi bafaka ekhatsi mengameli wenhlangano yemidlalo wemabhayisikili, mengameli welicembu le-MTN Khemani lokungilona lilungiselela lo mchudzelwano kanye nemphathi welidolobha lakuMankayane lapho khona lo mchudzelwano utawubanjelwa khona. Kanti-ke tonke letikhulumi tigcizelele ekuthenini lo mncintiswano ukhomba kukhula sibili lapho khona nelidolobha lakuMankayane lichubeka nekuzuza lokunyenti. Lo mchudzelwano utawubanjwa mhla ka-9 enyangeni letako. Ndzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela, umbiko ohlanziswa nguFabrice Msonera ezulwini.
Licembu le-Young Buffaloes labomake selidvonswe ngaphansi kwa-Group B emidlalweni ye-COSAFA Women CAF Champions League qualifiers yalonyaka. Lelicembu likanye neMamelodi Sundowns yase-South Africa, i-Olympic de Marine yaseveni lase-Comoros, i-Costa de Sol yaseveni lase-Mozambique. Kanti-ke le midlalo kubhekeke ukuthi icale mhla ka-30 kule nyanga lesetulu kute kube ngumhla ka-8 enyangeni letako eThekwini eNingizimu Afrika. Bethi ngako lesikuphathele tona tekucala sibahlole emakethe sibuye sichubeke nehlelo.
interest rates in advanced economies have increased at the fastest pace in 20 years. And that has made some emerging markets economies especially vulnerable. Let's look at why. To start with, higher global interest rates increase borrowing costs, and many emerging markets rely on external financing for public spending. So, when interest rates go up, it becomes more expensive for countries to pay back their existing debt. It also becomes harder for countries to access new financing and could even increase the risk of default. Rising interest rates also make emerging markets more vulnerable to capital outflows. Since high interest rates in advanced economies mean higher returns there, investors typically move capital away from emerging markets, and that often entails buying advanced economies currencies, which reduces demand for currencies in emerging markets, creating depreciation and ultimately inflation pressure. Now, in the face of these pressures, how can emerging markets respond? The standard short-term policy response is to increase domestic interest rates to incentivize investors to keep their money in emerging markets. But this isn't always optimal because it could lead to unnecessary economic contraction or even create financial stability risks, especially if the increase is rapid. That's why at the IMF, through our integrated policy framework, we advise countries on how to use a set of tools rather than just interest rates, depending on each country's economic characteristics and the type of external pressures it is facing. For example, in some emerging markets, foreign exchange markets are relatively shallow, so the exchange rate tends to be more sensitive to large transactions. If these countries experience sudden large capital outflows due to the loss of investor appetite, they can sell foreign exchange domestically to offset the negative impact on the exchange rate. And when a crisis is imminent, restricting capital outflows can be an option too. These policies, however, cannot substitute for a promising and stable growth model and prudent fiscal policies. So, given the recent rise in interest rates all over the world, what has been the effect on emerging markets? Countries with stronger growth prospects, lower inflation, larger reserves, have weathered the rapid rise in global interest rates relatively well. And because markets don't expect interest rates to rise much further, emerging economies are already becoming more attractive for international investors. At the end of the day, though, it will depend on actual monetary policy in advanced economies. And that's why clear guidance from their central bank is key to avoiding financial disruption to emerging markets.
Welcome back. Savusela Naulo Sanza Gusivulela, as we had mentioned earlier, Kutsisita Sinai Communications Director Vusi Dlamini Lusuka khona ka ERS sikhuluma ke ngeprogram EAEO. Takumuleke ukuthi bosomabhizinisi laba accredited emaveni afaya ekhathi live leBotswana, live leSwatini, Lesotho, Namibia kanye neSouth Africa will now benefit from lower trade costs and quicker turnaround times for imports and exports. Lokhu kulandzela sivumelwano lesasayinwa ngilamave lasihlanu ngaphansi kwenhlangano yakaSACU ngenyanga yeNkhwekhweti kulomnyaka. The heads of revenue administrations in these 5 countries have agreed to recognize each other's importers and exporters who have been granted the status of an authorized economic operator, AEO. Traders who are AEOs across the SACU region will benefit from fast-tracked controls and reduced administration costs for customs clearance. I'm joined by Communications Director KRS Vusi Dlamini. Adosiniketa nje updates ukuthi ingabe vele mhlambe uptake since SACU SG Khasipe introduce le program lapha ekhaya Eswatini. Nkosi sikuvusele sikwamukele. Ade nje kusichazela mhlambe kabantana ukuthi kahle kahle vele mhlambe eyini le AEO mhlambe nokuva nje i-role ledlalwa nguSACU ku-implementa yona le program.
Asibonge Lulu, ngicabanga ukuthi cishe lokuningi sokuchazile in the intro. The AEO program, CICT, is actually, SACU calls it a flagship program. Basically, it's the best program that we believe is being driven at SACU level and meant to facilitate trade in the region. And I also need to mention, it's not just a SACU program. This program, now we Boga,
it extends to the global level. So it's not just purely a SACU program. And in May, I think when the countries signed these agreements, this agreement or memorandum of understanding, which we call mutual recognition agreement, basically, arrangement, we also learned from other countries in the African region who are also sharing their experiences on how the program is supposed to be working, and the interest is also there at global level. So if we endege kahle, eventually it's a program that then would give you those benefits at a global level. So initially at SACU level, but then it will go to African level. I think we know Kutsi Gune trade agreement at African level as well. And after that, then we would expect that the program can extend even to international level. But it's a very good program. This, I think, we businesses will appreciate the benefits that come with this program, and they are actually massive. So at SACU level, we want to first develop it at this level and try and ensure our trading within the SACU is actually benefiting from this program. I think, as you mentioned, the bigger bit of it is that it becomes easy for you to, as a business person, to move goods from country A to country B without necessarily going through hassles. We know the problems that are faced at border posts, not only in our own borders, but borders across the world and borders particularly in Africa. So this program is trying to say, if you have been accredited, movement of your goods from country to country should be very easy.
It could be any sector.
Yes, this program is not for a specific sector. This program is for any business, small to large. And as long as the business meet the requirements that would have been put forward to say these are the requirements for you to qualify for this program, then any business can qualify in this program.
So now to say any business can qualify. Nifuna kubutela ukuthi ngabe mhlambe nifuna obviously ma traders la tax compliant. Ingavele mhlambe nasibuka lokho lokuthi vele le program lena ifuna abosomabhizinisi lababhadala komthelo. Ingabe mhlambe kwasitha kanganani lokho vele idinzabeni tokunyusa lizinga lamabhizinisi laba tax compliant.
Definitely, I think one of the benefits is that you would expect that because one, as you say, for you to qualify, in fact, mainly for you to qualify for this program, you need to be compliant.
Is it 100% compliance, Sibuka from 80%?
It's 100% compliance, and I will mention why. Because the way this program is supposed to work, if you see implemented those businesses that will qualify, it basically means the business that has qualified, business A, they are importing goods or they are transporting goods from South Africa through our borders into Eswatini. So if everything goes well and this business has been accredited to be part of this program, the business will just transport the goods from South Africa. They will go through South Africa. There is no need for South Africa to be saying, they will go into a specified counter where they are actually presenting themselves there, and then we check, it's the AEO or is an accredited business in the program. They just go through, they go to the Eswatini site, and then they also present themselves. They just go through. There's no need for us to be stopping their trucks or searching them. And now you want to then deal with someone that you know you can trust. Because you don't want a situation where this business you have accredited, they've been accredited, but then they start hiding certain things. So the compliance is actually very, very critical, is one of the most important, because then if we are going to be checking your goods maybe at some point in time, we will be checking them at your premises. So already the goods have been delivered at your premises instead of us stopping you at the border. So I think that is why we need to emphasize the importance of business being compliant. So it then goes back to what you are saying, Gutsi. We do believe that if this program works very well, it should benefit business because their goods will move in and out of the country without any hassles. but obviously it will also help improve compliance in the countries.
Okay, so speaking of i-trust Nkosi uyasho ukuthi vele uma ngabe bayangena ema-border kuthi babeyitela ukuthi bandlule kuphi kuphi sabayahlola ama-goods abo because banale AEO nasekwenteka nje mhlambe kuba khona into okulandelela ukuthi vele they're still complying as a business ngoba kudokwanza ukuthi mhlambe le business leyo seba netinkinga sekuhamba ngesikhathi abasakhona ukubhadala kahle umthelo nitawukhona nikulandelela ukuthi vele usakhona ukubhadala umthelo wakhe kahle atokhona ukuchubeka enjoy ama-benefits a-AEO.
Yes, definitely. I think one of the requirements is that you must continue to be compliant. So kuba kuchubeka ke ube compliant kubita ukuthi nathi sihle sitihlolela kuchecka ukuthi vele usakulandzela yini lokhu lesavumelana ngako usawalandzela yini onke lama usese compliant yini. We will be checking that on a regular basis and to check if basically you still qualify to be in the program. I think after 2 years or so we will be coming back and actually checking, doing another audit to check, because we will be doing audits for those that would want to be part of the program. But having said that, I must say that this program is actually very good, and South Africa is already introduced the program. I think they've progressed quite significantly in this program, and we know that business lamanye which are operating in this country, they do have a leg in South Africa. So you'll find that it's a business that is in Eswatini, but econ as a South Africa, that type of a business. So we want to encourage all businesses, be it that kind of a business, and local businesses. When we went to South Africa to launch the program at regional level, we're happy that we had the presence of the business representatives in this country. I think we had Business Eswatini, we had also First Big who were part of that program. I hope someday they will also come here, and we come with them here so that they share with other business people on the importance of this program. But it is an important program that will benefit business community in a
Okay, so you've had a chance to kuthi mitane nabosomabhizinisi ama-traders nibasensitize ngale program ibeyithi nje vele mhlambe i-response yabo?
We first met with the different federations. We've spoken to them about it. I think this past week we had about close to 40 businesses that have already registered interest in this business. They've been undergoing some training on what this program is all about and what we will be expecting, and then we will, those that will then want us to take it further, we'll then be starting with checking the different requirements so that we can consider them for registration in the program. We are happy with what we have seen as the response with this first bit that they've come forward to register for the program.
The 40 companies?
Yes, we are happy with that, because I think if you go to South Africa in the past year, they had I think they had less than 50 businesses, or was it around 80 businesses that were registered in the program. But remember, South Africa is a huge economy. So for us to see around 40 businesses showing interest in this initiative is actually massive.
Okay. Asuka kumaphi nje ama-sectors lama businesses la tshengise interest?
It's different sectors. It will be retail. I think it's varying sectors basically. I think I will not mention names here, but we have seen various sectors showing interest, both small, medium, and large.
Okay, so ngifuna ukubuza Nkosi ukuthi vele nasikhuluma nje mhlambe nge-regional trade, we know that vele kubalekile lokuthi amave namava athengiselane imikhiqido, and also nje kubaleka kangakanani vele ukuthi vele sichubeke as Eswatini nathi si-export imikhiqido yethu, and also will it play a role to ensure the success of the Africa Free Trade Continental Trade Agreement?
Yes, I think definitely on that bit, this program actually, when the program was launched in South Africa, the thinking was that we need to do what we are doing such that the African Agreement program is then actually tapping on this AEO program to actually advance the work that they're actually doing. So we do believe that if we are doing the work that we are doing accordingly, because remember, as Eswatini, we are a small economy, so your question on exporting goods is actually very important, because if one is accredited and they tap onto the market, say in South Africa, in Namibia, in Botswana, Lesotho. There is a possibility also of extending that to other countries in the African region. So it's a huge benefit for us, because basically it means our market is not just Eswatini in terms of producing and selling. We are then able to sell to other countries across the region and across the African continent, as well as across the world.
Okay. So, ngifuna ukubuza nje ukuthi maso-registered as a trader or company or business under the AEO program, is it for life? Noma mhlambe kunesigaba la kumele uphinde ubuye khona your renewal futhi?
We expect that it should be for life, but because we expect that if you continue to follow all the things that we are expecting you to follow, then you will be in the program forever. But obviously we will be checking regularly if you still meet those requirements. I think we'll be doing those audits, for instance, after 2 years or so, to check if you are still in line with what we agreed. Otherwise, the program would be such that you will be there forever.
So nani kumisana nje nabo lama traders nkosi kwaba khona into ku-understand labo mgcoka nje ukuthi babe part of lelo program lena bebeyithini nje imifo yabo introduce kwale program?
I think this is one of the programs that we feel that people are excited about, and this is particularly because it's not just purely looking into us as Eswatini with our neighbors being South Africa, but it is looking at the whole region within SACU. I think the presence of SACU, actually them coming into the country, officially launching the program, the mutual recognition agreements that were done in South Africa, and us bringing on board the different federations, being Business Eswatini as well as FESPIC, who are the federations that are responsible for business in the country, is enough for us to believe that there is that interest. And we do have our hopes on them that they will be driving their membership to actually adopt this very good program.
Okay, so lastly, Nkosi, what would be your advice to Eswatini traders on the adoption of this program?
Our advice is that we want to encourage them to use this program. It's a very good program, as I have mentioned, and it's a program that will not just help them in terms of compliance, but it's a program that will ensure that even our own economy will grow, because if sesenabe kahle with other countries in terms of trade or facilitating trade, we believe that the sky is the limit.
All right, thank you so much, Nkosi Sibanga kakhulu. Mhlambe mbukela ngabe kusekhona lekusele mhlambe lofisa ukubuta ungaxhumana nabo. They are on their social media pages kanye nenombolo yaka WhatsApp 76063735. Yeah, all right. Let's take a break.
To make market-shaping investments in data ecosystems, including mobile phone data, to address environmental challenges through evidence-based solutions.
The World Bank-hosted Global Data Facility is an innovative global funding instrument designed for such critical data impact opportunities. Partner with the Global Data Facility to mobilize investment and programmatic support to put mobile phone data to work for policy in 30 countries by 2030, enabling more dynamic and targeted solutions to our most pressing global development challenges.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Let's get a traffic update from Constable Ntombenhle Fakutse Mtolo. Sikuvusele lomhla ekuseni ngabe sithini isimo emigwaqweni?
Ngikuvusele Nxumalo, ngivusele naye umbukeli weKusile breakfast show. Imigwaqo yelive laKangwane sesihlolile, imigwaqo iyahambeka leminengi. Kepha ke lokukhona nyalo ekuseni etinzaweni letiphakeme kunenkhungu kuletinye tindzawo yinkulu kakhulu noma ke kubonakali kakhulu emigwaqweni. Sithi nje bashayeli basasebenzisa yona imigwaqo nyalo ekuseni bende siciniseko ukuthi la kunetinkungu khona bakhanyisa wona emalambula amakhulu, baphinde futhi balinciphise litubane kuze ukuthi baphephe basawusebenzisa umgwaqo. Emadolobha elive laKangwane ahloliwe, iba netemgwaqo tiyasebenza tonke ngalokufanele, kanti nemigwaqo lengenela kuwo lamadolobha iyahambeka ngaphandle nje kwedolobha lelikhulu laseMbabane. La khona tiba netemgwaqo lesilapha ephumeni eSuperstar ingasebenzi nyalo ekuseni, tiveta nje umbala lobovu, sithi nje asinakeni khona lapho. Umgwaqo lomkhulu losuka khona ehekeni laseNgwenya uye khona kaManzini uyahambeka, kepha ke kumalagwane inkhungu yine kakhulu, bantu laba tawehla noma bakhuphuke yena amalagwane bete khona eMbabane abaqaphelisise basashayela khona lapho. Umathaphana kaManzini sihlolile nakhona edolobheni kaManzini sitala Blessing Southern Distributor lesisuka khona eBosco siyafika lapha kule traffic circle sivaliwe kulandzela ukuthi umgwaqo uyalungiswa khona lapho. Bashayeli bayakhuthazwa ukuthi abasebenzise letinye tindlela kuze ukuthi bafike lapho baphokophele kufika khona. Ishiselo ihloliwe, imigwaqo yaseshiselweni iyahambeka sishaye yonkhana kude lokungakanani lokuthi sikabedo, ngaphandle nje ukuthi umgwaqo losuka khona enhlangano lapha kaMduda uye khona eCasino solo uvaliwe loyo mgwaqo loyo, kulandzela kona ukuthi uyakhiwa. Siyakhuthaza ke sive senkosi ukuthi asichubeke sisebenzise wona umgwaqo lo ngena khona esontweni lemaMuslim nabangena khona enhlangano, noma sebaphume ngetindlela lebatabe sebakhondiswe tona kuze ukuthi bawusebenzise ngekuphepha umgwaqo. Ngale kwaloko Mnguni naye umbukeli, imigwaqo yelive laKangwane iyahambeka ngaphandle nje kwalethi lesengifishito tisikabedo. Ngaba kusisela yena umbukeli usuku loluhle noluphephile basetawusebenzisa yona imigwaqo yelive laKangwane.
Sibonga kakhulu Mtolo, sikhathi sakho lomhla ekuseni nanansi simfisela lusuku loluhleni saqhuba umsebenzi welive lapho ke entabeni sebenzela khona lo muhla sibahlola emakethe sidabuya sichubeka nelihlelo.
Phela makhaya inkosi nangabe phela udukhohliwe timbe batakho buye eceleni. Ubuye eceleni phela thina sijeke emsebenzini awungeke phela. Ukhohlela le-ID nenombolo yokuvota. Lile basifakele yona phela la tincingweni. Ha, ngibonini. Buye eceleni inkosi yathi ngijeke emsebenzini kwani mina. Hayi wena msawumnye ngathi igaba lesithathu ihamba phela nkosi titsi nyalo. Sigaba secala sasihamba yi-voter validation. Lapho khona sithi hamba uye emphakathi wangakini uyohlolisisa ukuthi le mininingwane lowayibhala ingiyo yini nendzawo la tovotela khona. Niyo kahle nje sithi lapho konje hlolisisa imininingwane yakho nathi sibambisane ukuthi imininingwane yakho ibhaleke kahle yini. Nani? Hayi phela lokho kutawondeka lepo 22 June kuyale ku 12 July. Yebo bese ke sigaba lesilandzelako sey-nomination coach lapho khona kubheka ukuthi ngenkundla inominate lokungenani bantu labacela 3 kuya ku 20 kuze ke umuntu anqonye kufuneka lokungenani abe nemavoti langu 10. Ngiyahleka yini mfana babe ngoba ngithi nje lekhaya selisendvo ngitawungena nje ngigijima. Nonye Ngeke simfake umuvu lo ngeke wasendela lutho asimfake acele ama projects ngokuya phuma ikosha. Yanti lathi indzaweni kulama communities sithini sifayisana nema problems imbamba sithi ngama solution bamba. Yebo koshi. Hayi kahle phela benguye kulandzela yena mkhulu. Ngicela ufake yena. Yebo bekacela ukuthi ngimbambele kulandzela yena. Bese ke sigaba lesilandzelako senama primary elections. Wona ke lama primary elections atawondeka lepo 26 August 2023 phela koshi. Bese ke lokulandzelako senama secondary elections. Lapho khona wona atawuthatha lepo 29 September 2023. Ngiyaseka yini mbona baba ngoba lamkhatheseni kwama primary nalama secondary kutabe kune campaign process lokusho ukuthi umuntu ufuna kade itshengisa ukuthi wakhiwe ngani setawufa bakabishi nani okulandzela mina ngiyabonga sisi
lo mlayeto nolethelwa baka EBC Elections and Boundaries Commission of Eswatini.
Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a look at our English bulletin. His Majesty King Mswati III has summoned Imbali Regiment for this year's Umhlanga at Eswatini Royal Residence. This was revealed by Her Royal Highness Princess Sakizwe when making an announcement at Eswatini Royal Residence. The regiment is expected to arrive for registration on the 29th of August.
Uyezwana lalela ngikutshele tindzaba letibuya enkosini uthi okandaba tinfombi imbali yemaswati ayiphelele esigodlweni elitsitsini mhla tinge-27 enyangeni yengci titawufike tibhalise ngalelo langa kuyawuphunywa mhla tinge-30 bese kugecwa umhlanga mhla tinge-31 titawubuya mhla lulunye kuyo inyoni tiyaphumula mhla titimbili kuyo inyoni tiyawuchitha umhlanga mhla titintsatfu bese kuyagidvwa mhla titine bese tiyakundiphethe mhla tisithupha umyalo etikhulwini nguleso naleso sikhulu kutsi ngeka sikhiphe emajaha lamane kutsi achube tinfombi kute kutsi nangabe kukhona kungaphili kwalomunye webamfana mabili emajaha abikele labo labafanele nekutsi abikele batali noma lomfana asafakwe esibhedlela nawo lamajaha ayati kutsi tinfombi tilala todvwa nemajaha alala odvwa tikhulu tiyayalwa kutsi tingakhiphi bantfwana labancane ngoba ngekweseleka kwemhlanga etfutani labamfana ababe basakhona kuhamba indzawo lenze. Siyimbali yemaswati sichakazile sitayincoba iCovid. Usho njalo mlomo longacalimanga. Ethe wena phakathi. Lokhipa simemetelo inkosatana yembali Sakizwe. Nine bekunyene. Imbali iyatiswa kutsi ingeti netinele tekwebolekwa. Inga make-up, inga rouge. Obabe tikhulu abayele bamfu labangaphasi kwabo kutsi bangalokotsi batsinze noma bashaye libutfu. Nakwendekile lokho, nalo lilahle kubo. Tinsatheli tekhaya netangephandle. Tiyayalwa kutsi titsatsisise kahle ngaphambi kwekuthi tibhale. Baethe wena phakathi.
The Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Manglaba Khumalo, has officially launched the Eswatini Responsible Trading Program. This program aims to reward legal liquor traders who follow the law to the letter and empower those who are still lagging behind. Winners will get a total makeover, and some of the key things to be considered is closing on time, not selling beer to minors and pregnant women.
It is not always the case that a violation of the law has to be corrected through punishment. This is evident in Eswatini Beverages and government launching the Eswatini Responsible Trading Program, which will empower beer traders to do better.
Siyajabula kakhulu lokubona ukuthi ngiyibona labathathe sinyathelo sokuqala ukuthi no lokhu singakulungisa ngoba sina noma sibhizinisi sakha imali asifisi lokuthi sakhe imali kube kulimala sive kepha ke sifuna ukuthi selekeleke ukuthi labo labathengisa letinatho letakhola ekhaya bawulandzela umthetho kungako-ke bathulana luhlelo olubitwa ngokuthi i-Responsible Trader Program.
Eswatini Beverages says it wants to create a future that can be responsibly celebrated by all.
We are championing responsibility starting today. Beer has a very special part of our heritage and culture, and it's been there for many years. And as EBL, we firmly believe that every experience should always be a positive one. This belief requires us to encourage and enable the growth of thriving communities where responsible consumption is always the norm.
This program is continuous and has 3 categories, that is Platinum, Gold and Silver. Platinum Standard will win a trader a total makeover plus discounted prices. Gold and Silver will see traders getting discounted prices. Those who will not make it will be assisted to do better. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela, Matapa.
Parliament is developing a training manual that will contain all relevant information needed to induct members of Parliament at the assumption of their office and will be expected to abide by throughout their term of office. Benedict Klaba says they are working on the manual in collaboration with other stakeholders, and the drafting meeting is being held at the George Hotel in Manzini.
On the 11th of July this year, His Majesty King Mswati III dissolved the 11th Parliament of the Kingdom of Eswatini, as the country has already begun the process of electing new constituency councillors, constituency headmen, as well as members of Parliament.
We are currently meeting with the Office of the Attorney General and the legal advisors from the different ministries, also anti-corruption and the Human Rights Commission. This training manual, it will really give us a guide on how to capacitate the members of Parliament.
Kaba says some of the important contents of the training manual are the Constitution of the Kingdom of Eswatini, Parliament Standing Orders, Code of Conduct, and the oath of office for members of Parliament. On the news, I'm Mbongwa Tobe with Mbendulo Kumbi in Dobamba.
In a bid to discover original and innovative ideas by Maswati, the Eswatini Communications Commission has awarded Begela Africa, a company that developed a parcel storage solutions for consumers under the innovative challenge. The Commission's Chief Executive, Mvilawempi Lamini, says the Commission is committed to promoting innovation and ensuring the continuous development of Eswatini communications industry. Lamini was speaking during the Innovation Challenge awarding ceremony held in Matapa.
The top 3 companies of the 2023 Innovation Challenge are Begela Africa, Dig Image Investment, and TechnoFriends. The Eswatini Communications Commission's Chief Executive, Mvilawempi Dlamini, says women still lag behind in the competition as only one submission was received from a woman.
In accordance with our mandate, the Commission is firmly committed to fostering innovation and ensuring sustainability and driving continuous development within the ICT industry. Embracing the theme of promoting sustainable digital services development in Eswatini. Further, and regrettably, there was no winner in the ICT for agriculture category. Yet agriculture plays a vital role in our society.
Salebona Nxumalo, representing Begela Africa, the champions, says they are currently working on protecting their idea.
Haven't done much in that regard because we're sort of also just excited about having a solution. That's one of the first actions that we need to take to patent the solution and make sure that we secure that IP.
The 2023 Innovation Challenge was focusing on addressing socio-economic challenges, particularly in the agriculture, education, and other related technologies and applications in the ICT sector. The Commission received 42 applications this year. The Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Themba Shabangu, Matapa.
2 people died on the spot when a quantum collided with a Fortuner at Mkanwini in Hlambeni. The Assistant Police Information Communications Officer, Nosipa Mnguni, says the driver of the quantum, which was in full capacity, died on the spot. Mnguni says the Fortuner was driven by a woman who was with 4 kids alleged to be primary school pupils. She says one of the children died on the spot. Mnguni says the police are still investigating the cause of the accident. The Eswatini Communications Commission has issued 3 electronic communications general licenses for the provision of internet services, which are ODRIB Investments, Starlink Eswatini, and Micro IT Solutions. The Escom Chief Executive Mvila Wempi Lamini says these companies will ensure competitive ISP markets in the country. He was speaking during the licenses issuing event held in Watapa.
The Eswatini Communications Commission Act empowers the Commission to grant permission to people who want to provide a public electronic communications service in Eswatini. Presenting the licenses, the SCCOM Chief Executive Mvila Dlamini says the new internet service providers will continue to stimulate growth of the sector and afford Emaswati the best service, especially in this post-COVID era, which allowed different sectors to realize the crucial role of the internet services.
Sikhanze vele ukuthi asisita kuwangeta njengoba nale market nje naloku nje mala SP zethu asatawuba la bo 21 22 kepha ukhanza ukuthi kusena mabili mathashwanyana lengona vele a dominator kule sector kanti phela sisuke singetela lokuthi kufuna kube ne competition la ku sector.
Dlamini says the adoption of the digital economy has highlighted the increasing need for safety, fast and reliable internet as more people become independent on the availability of internet service for digital services on their socio-economic life. Dlamini also encouraged the companies to embrace new technologies and innovation aligned with the 4th Industrial Revolution and beyond to ensure consumer protection and protection of personal data. Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Themba Shabangu, Matapa.
Hilton Garden Inn has capacitated its employees on anti-human trafficking. The hotel says it is doing this so its staff can be in a better position to clients who show signs of being trafficked. Facilitating this workshop were police and World Vision.
The speakers at the workshop said 60% of human trafficking cases happen in hotels.
We also have a reputation to uphold as Hilton Garden Inn Baban under the Hilton Worldwide Group of Hotels. And we are quite understanding that our guests, when they step foot into our hotel, they rely on us as the team members in terms of safety measures to be in place.
Police said hotel staff have to be capacitated on human trafficking.
The line of reporting be clear and be effective so that you may find that maybe when there is a victim of human trafficking, the reporting is very fast and it reaches the police as soon as possible.
World Vision said hotel staff have to have an eye that can spot human trafficking cases.
In Eswatini, we have actually the perpetrators right here in our country. So what's to stop them from also trafficking our own children from this country? We might be thinking they're using the country to actually traffic people from other countries, but our children are also at risk. Our nation is at risk.
Goal number 8 of the Sustainable Development Goals speaks to ending human trafficking by 2030. Steps such as the one taken by the Hilton Garden Inn should be emulated by more organizations for Eswatini to be counted as champions of anti-human trafficking in the future. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with Muzim Konda, Mbabane.
The High Court has sentenced Sunny Boy Shane Harris to 22 years in prison without an option of a fine. Harris was found guilty of the murder of his aunt, whom he suspected to be practicing witchcraft. This matter was before Judge Justice Mavuso.
Sunny Boy Shane Harris was a fortnight ago found guilty of murdering his aunt Togo Margaret Masego. Harris did this after accusing Masego of witchcraft. Harris committed this offense in 2020 at Tembelihle. The court found that the 70-year-old Masego was too old and could not defend herself against the 38-year-old Harris. The court said Masego died after being strangulated, and this was a painful death. The court also said Harris and the deceased had a dispute over an estate which included immovable property occupied by Masego. The court also said Harris did this for personal gain. The court then sentenced Harris to 22 years in prison without an option of a fine. In this matter, the Crown was represented by Ngamsile Masugu, while Harris was represented by Zonke Makakula and company. This matter was before Judge Justice Mavuso. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela, High Court.
It's 14 minutes after 7. At this moment, we shall take a look at news-making headlines internationally. The death toll from a terrifying wildfire that razed a historic Hawaiian town is expected to rise very significantly.
Oh my gosh, look at the harbor.
This footage shows the devastation in the coastal resort of Lahaina, Maui's largest tourist destination. 3 wildfires have killed several people and burned down most of the town, fueled by the winds of Hurricane Dora, which passed by some 800 kilometers south of the island. The Coast Guard rescued over a dozen residents who'd run into the ocean to escape the flames and the thick smoke, but too many didn't get out in time.
It's going to take years for fix. Years. This is not even the worst of it. Still get dead bodies in the water floating and on the seawall. They've been sitting there since last night. We've been pulling people out since last night, trying to save people's lives. And I feel like we're not getting the help we need.
Officials said not all the fire had been contained and search and rescue missions continued. Several shelters have been opened to house the thousands of people displaced. President Joe Biden ordered all available federal assets to help with the response.
The damage to the infrastructure, it's not just buildings. I mean, these were small businesses that invested in Maui. These were local residents. And, we need to figure out a way to help a lot of people in the next several years.
A dangerous combination of hurricane winds and drier than normal grasslands appears to have made these wildfires particularly ferocious.
This was a home.
Conditions exacerbated by climate change, which not only drives up temperatures, but also makes stronger hurricanes more likely.
A Russian attack on Ukraine's southern city of Zaporizhia on Wednesday killed 2 people, Ukrainian officials said. This is an important city on Dnieper River, lies some 44 kilometers from the front line.
Windows blown out and a nearby church left damaged. A Russian strike left its mark on this part of Zaporizhia Wednesday. Along with the church, 3 educational facilities and 5 residential buildings felt the force of the attack.
I was making food, and for a second I thought I might go into the other room. I just went out to the corridor, and the explosion rang out. At that time, my husband and child were outside. If I had been in the kitchen, I think I would have been injured.
She's one of the lucky ones. The strike has shaken this community, and for some, it's all too much to bear. Medics worked late into the night treating those left injured in the attack, while emergency teams looked for survivors among the debris. In his nightly address, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky paid tribute to those killed in the strike.
Russian terrorists struck Zaporizhzhia again. There are casualties. Unfortunately, some people have been injured. My condolences to the families and loved ones who have lost their dear ones.
The city is just 50 kilometers northeast of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, which has been under Russian control since the start of the war. Wednesday's attack puts authorities on high alert once again. Strikes on the plant's surrounding areas have raised persistent fears of a nuclear accident.
Kenya's government and the opposition launched fresh talks on Wednesday aimed at resolving a bitter political feud following a spate of violent protests over the high cost of living and calls for electoral reforms. But even as the formal dialogue kicked off in Nairobi, both sides insisted there would be no form of power sharing to resolve the crisis in the East African powerhouse.
All smiles despite the tense political context. Government and opposition delegations kicked off a much-anticipated round of talks in Nairobi. Both parties said they were ready to set their differences aside to try to tackle Kenya's lingering political crisis.
We come here putting the interests of the people of Kenya first. We come here determined to look for long-lasting solutions.
It was the first formal meeting between the two sides since the contested election of President William Ruto exactly 1 year ago. The Azimio coalition, led by opposition leader Raila Odinga, has since accused Ruto of rigging the polls and of failing to tackle an ongoing economic crisis. Several mass protests orchestrated by Odinga over the past year were met with a heavy police response that left at least 20 people dead. High hopes were therefore riding on Wednesday's meeting, despite the government saying the economic crisis was not on the agenda. The opposition, meanwhile, sought to reassure the public that it wasn't seeking a power-sharing arrangement with the ruling party.
We shall not negotiate, and this is important for us, for any form of power sharing with the Kenya Kwanza alliance, or put any personal interest ahead of the interests of our people.
After a 2-hour meeting, both parties agreed to reconvene on Monday for a second round of talks. But time could be running out, with Raila Odinga recently threatening to return to the streets if his grievances weren't addressed by the end of the month.
Niger's new military rulers on Wednesday accused France, the country's traditional ally, of releasing captured jihadists and breaching a ban on airspace on the eve of a key summit on the Sahel's latest crisis. Leaders of the West African bloc, ECOWAS, are to meet in the Nigerian capital, Abuja, to weigh their options, with diplomacy apparently edging out military intervention at present after a showdown last weekend.
As the regional bloc ECOWAS seeks to resolve the crisis in Niger, the military junta are digging their heels in. On Wednesday, the group responsible for the coup d'etat accused former colonial power France of deliberately attempting to destabilize the country by violating its airspace and releasing several terrorists.
These security disruptions planned by these French forces, as was the case in Mali and Burkina Faso, aim to discredit the CNSP and create a rupture with the people who support it in its actions, or to create a feeling of generalized insecurity in any case.
The French Foreign Ministry rejected the claims, adding that the flight had been authorized and coordinated with Niger's armed forces.
Today's air movement in Niger was the subject of prior agreement and technical coordination with Nigerian forces confirmed in writing. No attack against a Niger camp has taken place.
Since seizing power 2 weeks ago, the junta has already revoked 5 military cooperation agreements with France, but Paris has rejected that decision, saying it was not taken by Niger's legitimate authorities. Meanwhile, the US has advised its citizens residing in Niger to keep a low profile and avoid unnecessary movements around town. Following the failed attempt to meet with deposed President Mohamed Bazoum on Monday, Washington has expressed concern over his health and that of his family. They've been detained in the presidential palace since July 26, with rumors they were being held in inhumane conditions. West African leaders are set to weigh their options during Thursday's ECOWAS summit, with diplomacy apparently edging out military intervention for now.
UN aid agencies in coup-hit Niger are scrambling to make contingency plans to scratch out depleting stocks of food, medicines and fuel, even as sanctions threaten to increase the number of people in need. The UN humanitarian chief in Niger warned on Tuesday over 4 million people were already targeted for UN emergency assistance in the impoverished West African country before July 26 power grab led to border and airspace closures.
They could be the most impacted by Niger's political crisis. The UN says some 4.3 million people were already in need of aid in the West African country, a figure that's likely to rise following the latest power grab, with economic sanctions threatening to increase the price of food, medicine, and other basic goods.
And the risk is that we start running out of assistance materials to be able to help out people. I'm talking about simple things that are so life-saving. I'm talking about vaccines. I'm talking about food.
Following the July 26th coup, Niger was hit by a series of sanctions, including the suspension of EU financial support, a ban on commercial transactions, and the freezing of state assets. On Sunday, military leaders announced the closing of the country's airspace, adding another logistical hurdle for aid agencies trying to bring in much-needed resources.
This has certainly interrupted some of our humanitarian operations, given that we're so reliant on having to cover vast space. It's a huge country.
For now, the UN says Niger has been able to rely on its own supplies to distribute aid, but as stocks begin to deplete, the agency warns of a looming humanitarian crisis in the West African country.
West African heads of state are set to gather at a meeting of the regional bloc ECOWAS in Nigeria on Thursday. A possible military intervention in Niger, which recently underwent a coup, remains teetering on the table. In Senegal, such a move would prove highly controversial.
The people of Dakar are closely following the fallout from Niger's coup. In the Senegalese capital, many of those with whom we spoke are firmly against the prospect of an ECOWAS-led military intervention in the nearby nation. I don't think a military solution is a good one.
The solution must be a peaceful one in which there is discussion with the putschists to see what can be done to organize democratic elections.
We should forget this military intervention idea unless the Nigerian people ask for it. I'm not speaking for my generation, but for the younger generations who will not accept it. Last week, the Senegalese foreign minister said that Senegalese troops would take part in any mission led by ECOWAS. The commitment did not go down well at home. Some specialists warn that military action could plunge the regional bloc into an existential crisis.
There are dissenting voices and disagreements at the very heart of ECOWAS. It calls into question the relevance of ECOWAS and also its legitimacy. ECOWAS member states are not able to act freely. At the moment, we have what you could call a struggle for influence within the bloc between Russia and France. It's pitiful for ECOWAS.
The Senegalese opposition has said that any military intervention in Niger involving Senegalese troops should first be debated in the National Assembly.
Poland will boost the number of troops at its eastern border with Belarus to 10,000, the defense minister said on Thursday as he warned about potential security risks from the Russian ally. Poland has been sounding the alarm on threats that it says neighboring Belarus poses, warning against provocations, especially involving the Wagner mercenary group currently based in the country.
At the edge of the European Union, an uneasy calm for now. This is Poland's border with Belarus, a border that's becoming more and more militarized with the arrival of 10,000 troops to support the border guard.
4,000 soldiers will support directly the border guards. The remaining 6,000 will be on standby.
The Polish government is nervous after hundreds of Wagner mercenaries arrived in Belarus at the behest of the country's president, Alexander Lukashenko. He says he's had to restrain Wagner fighters from attacking Poland. While there's no way to independently verify his claims, this week Belarus has been carrying out military exercises near the border. But border guards here insist there's no reason to worry.
When we speak with people who live near the border, they are afraid. But we are guarding this border, and as border guards, we have no concerns about the Wagner Group.
Poland also accuses Belarus of using migrants as weapons by letting them cross the border illegally to create tensions within the EU. Thousands of migrants have been stuck in freezing conditions in a buffer zone between the countries. Earlier this week, a Polish official said so far this year, 19,000 had tried to make the crossing, up from 16,000 last year.
It's 28 minutes after 7. Let's take a look at our sports news. In our sports roundup, Minister for Sports Harris Bulunga says the Min Kemani Classic Road Race plays a huge role in the growth and development of cycling in the country. Minister Bulunga was speaking during the official launch of the 2023 Kemani Classic Road Race at Eswatini, where MTN Eswatini sponsored the event with a package of 350,000 emalangeni.
In our sports roundup, we begin with the 2023 launch of the MTN Kemani Cycling Classic Road Race to be held on the 9th of September this year, with a package of 350,000 emalangeni from MTN Eswatini. Minister for Sports Harris Bulunga says, indeed, the race has grown since its inception.
Through such sponsorship, we have been able to produce excelling athletes, and in this case, cyclists, who have gone on to represent the country in races even outside our borders.
MTN Chief Executive Officer Wandile Mchadi says this is their way of giving back to the community as MTN Eswatini.
We are going to receive cyclists from Eswatini, Jibangisho, but also we've invited quite a number of international cyclists that are coming to Eswatini. They've already confirmed that they'll be here on the 9th of September.
All those who spoke during the launch, including Cycling Association President, MTN Kemani Cycling Club President, and Town Council of Mangayane Chief Executive Officer, they all assured that indeed it's going to be a great event even this year. Moving on in other news, Young Buffaloes ladies team have been drawn in Group B of the COSAFA Women Champions League qualifiers alongside Southern African powerhouse Mamelodi Sundowns ladies team, Olympique de Morin from Comoros, and Costa del Sol from Mozambique. The games will begin on the 30th of August to the 8th of September this year in Durban in the Republic of South Africa. The eventual champions of the qualifiers will then proceed to the Continental Showpiece to be held in November this year. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabisum Sonara, Babane.
7, we've come to the end of our English bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly.
Hey yo, this is DJ Cybers. What's up guys, King Jace here. My name is Tripo Intellectual.
What's up everybody, my name is SK.
Hey guys, this is your girl Z.
This weekend Eswatini has been such an amazing show. For all the years, they've always supported all the local talent and all the local shows.
Catch This Weekend Eswatini every Fridays.
It's one of the best entertainment shows Eswatini.
So guys, you know what? This is the best show to have. Like, if you watch Swazi TV and you're a person who actually enjoys watching like musical shows that have a lot of content, that have good stuff, This Weekend Eswatini is your show.
For all the good vibes, all the good energy, make sure you tune in to This Weekend Eswatini every Friday from 5:30 to 6:30. I'll say it again, from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m.
A 1-hour fun-filled train of entertainment. We are taking you from 5:30 all the way to 6:30 every Friday, live on Eswatini TV.
And yes, of course, we are your #1 entertainment show in the kingdom of Eswatini. But you can interact with us on all social media platforms. We are at This Weekend Eswatini on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. Lalela Tina, we will definitely get back to you. This is your official weekend party starter.
I don't wanna go around singing songs that people don't.
Are they yours?
Ungabukela ke washa umkhukhu every Sunday at 3 p.m.
Right, it's 34 minutes after 7. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Fabrice is in the studio. Let's talk all things sports. Fabrice, really exciting developments around football in particular. PSL returned on Friday last week. The English Premier League starts today. We're about to see action on in the La Liga as well. Let's start with the PSL. Mamelodi Sundowns starting off as expected. You know, I was actually speaking to Master last week and he was saying that he's not sure if Sundowns is going to be the team that we know it to be. We've seen it. They've played 2 games. They haven't lost a single game. Top of the log standings. Orlando Pirates, though, showing really good signs on their second game. What are your thoughts so far with the start of the season?
Can I say for the very first time I disagree with Master, and not to say that I don't believe in what he said, but I just disagree because, as far as I'm concerned, I think Sundowns are expected just to hit the ground running and win the league. That is nothing to change because I'm looking at the difference between should I say the big 4, the big 5? You've got your SuperSport Pirates, you've got Chiefs. Yeah. Yes, Chiefs, they won against Royal AM, they won, but can you really judge teams based on the first 2 games? You would really say, let's wait maybe until September, January to see how things unfold. But then what I've noted is that in most cases, Chiefs, Pirates, SuperSport United, these teams, they excel in knockout tournaments. Remember now there was launch of the MTN 8, we still have the Telecom coming, we still have the Nedbank Cup, Guyana. All those tournaments, it's when you might see your Pirates, your Chiefs making headlines. But when it comes to hitting the ground running, 8 months of playing football, the league, I don't see anyone touching Mamelodi Sundowns. There might have been changes within the squad, within the management, but I don't see anyone defeating them to the trophy.
Well, you may say 2 games is not enough to really, make judgments on what the season is going to look like. But, with teams like Sundowns, you really want to see how they're going to start. Let's look at the results, Fabrice, from the week. This is the PSL results. What are your thoughts? I'm looking at Sekhukhune United beating Cape Town Spurs 2-0. Is that something that you were thinking was going to happen?
I think I would expect that. Cape Town Spurs coming into the newly promoted, so you want to see Sekhukhune United, of course, playing from last season. And this is the team that was supposed to play our team, Young Buffaloes, in CAF Confederation. And the Young Buffaloes ended up withdrawing that fixture. They withdraw from the competition. But I think the return of Polokwane City as well, and just winning against Stellenbosch. And then you look at also the draw between Chippa United and Amazulu and SuperSport. That's a tough game. And I think Amazulu, if it's anything to go by Amazulu, I would say they did themselves a favor to just get a point from SuperSport United, knowing how SuperSport United finished last season. But I'm not shocked when you look at Cape Town City and Morocco Swallows. Yes, it's early to judge Morocco Swallows, but good game from Cape Town City. But what a game. You know, what a game. Mamelodi Sundowns. If you have such big games coming early as first or second game or third game of the season between these two giants, Sundowns and Chiefs, and for Sundowns to get 3 points, that was quite, achievable. But for Pirates, I think
goal, 21 minutes. They already had a goal. Yeah.
Pirates also, getting 3 points. But I think that my concern was how they conceded those 2 goals. Maybe going forward, the management of the team, the coach has to work on that issue of how they conceded. But I'm happy with how they came and got 3 points. But then Richards Bay and Gordon Arrows, and then another, I would say, Durban, derby, the 2 sides from Durban. Richards Bay, there's a lot of expectations, and I think this is the team from Durban, where there's our international player, Justice Figueroa. So
and the results translate to this current log standings. Fabrice, Mamelodi Sundowns, as you said, hit the ground running and translates to them being at the top of the log. Played 2 games, haven't lost a single game, up there with 6 points.
I wouldn't really, like I said, in 2 games say this is how things will end. I don't think Cape Town City will maintain that position. And maybe SuperSport United might maintain that position, number 3. But if you look at number 2, you look at teams like number 5, Pirates, maybe at some point will have to improve and jump to 2nd or 3rd or 4th. So it's early. Let's talk about this really.
Even for Sundowns, you feel like
Sundowns,
it's early?
I think that's their position. I
wouldn't say so. Because you remember their first game with
We've seen
Sekhukhune.
Juventus, we've seen PSG in France, just going 11 seasons unbeaten. These guys are capable of doing that because of how their level of competition. They go to CAF Champions League, they are on another story.
I'm not sure they are winning that game versus Sekhukhune United, their first game, if it wasn't for that penalty. I think that penalty really saved them because Sekhukhune was playing good football as well. So I have my doubts for Arsenal this season, but we'll see. We'll see.
I like what Coach Pitts once said, that for you to win the league, you need 2 things.
Yeah.
You need to play a good game, and also you need to be lucky. Sometimes if luck is not on your side, then you don't get to win the league. So you have those 2 elements, then you're good to go. So this is not the true reflection of how the season might end. It's early to tell, but
we can get your predictions.
Yeah, there are signs. I'm seeing Sundowns number 1, Pirates number 2, Chiefs and SuperSport United fighting for number 3.
You really think Kaizer Chiefs is going to pick up and get up there?
Yeah, within the top 4, yeah.
Is that because of how they play or because
I think
of
these are the
what you
teams
hope?
that they gain momentum as the league continues.
Yeah, but is it based on how they play or what you hope for?
It's based on how they have made changes in the management. They have made also a couple of changes in the squad, yeah.
You touched on the MTN 8 briefly. Let's talk about it. It's coming.
It's coming, and of course it features some of the world, favorite teams. Look at this fixture. I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
The Sundowns against Morocco Swallows. I think it's the big fixture. Look at another game, Pirates as Sekhukhune United. You look at Chiefs, Cape Town City, SuperSport United, Stellenbosch. I mean, you look at all the big guns. They think they have it easy, but I think the biggest game for me, it's Morocco Swallows Sundowns.
You think so? Morocco Swallows just lost to Cape Town City, and they drew with. Did they draw? Oh, yeah, they drew with Golden Arrows.
But when you look at the history of this team and then how much is followed by some of the the well-known supporters in South Africa, so you have to understand that when they're under pressure, they'll perform. Yes, it's early to say you are not getting results, but when it counts, they will push. I'm not saying they will beat Sundowns, but they'll give them a good competition come on Saturday on the 12th of August.
And maybe because they have Steve Kombela coaching their side now, who knows Mamelodi Sundowns very well, and it's going to be his first game versus this side that he once coached. There could be an advantage.
There could be an advantage.
He might know the secrets.
When he said a man remembers what he used to be when he's on the other side. So, but when the other side comes to visit the man has to respond. That's his words when he was unveiled as the Morocco Swallows new head coach. And then I think the dilemma behind the South African League is quite interesting, and also it adds fire to how the teams perform.
Yeah. Let us talk about the English Premier League now. Let's just cross over to the most exciting league in the world, Fabrice. It's making its return today. Burnley versus Manchester City at 9 p.m. They are playing. Man City is being hosted by Burnley. A very interesting game because just like Man City, we have the same expectations that we have for Sundowns in the Premier Soccer League. What do you expect to happen in the English Premier League this season? Let's start with Man City versus Burnley.
I think it's still the same. I've always told people that I got these specific words from Sir Alex Ferguson in 2008 when he say in English Premiership you can start talking about the winner in January, February, before December, before Christmas. I mean, I think you've seen what happened last season. Arsenal was leading with 11 points by Christmas, but when we talk about by the end of Easter's, City was sitting on the table. So it tells you how the story changes. There's so much load for like Arsenal now. They're in the Champions League. Yes, they have added numbers to their squad, but you're expecting teams also to teams like maybe Chelsea. People are saying no, Chelsea, they won't do anything, but you'll be shocked because Pochettino has that experience of changing a team. Newcastle United, these are the teams also back into the Champions League after over 15 to 16 years. We talk about teams like Manchester United, which I think nothing much would change in my opinion. And I think Liverpool, this is why I want to talk so much about Liverpool, Sfiso, because in the opening game against Chelsea, we might not read so much, but there's something Klopp hasn't changed because the identity of Liverpool that won the league in 2019, it's not there. You cannot lose 4 of your senior players and you say you use upcoming stars, your Elliott, just to replace. You lose Henderson. Yeah. He was a key player in that midfield of Liverpool for over 9 years. Yeah. You lose Fabinho, who helped you winning the Champions League. You win also the league. Also lost other key members. Your Naby Keita, who used to come in as substitution. Milner, in as much people think maybe he was not your number 1 in the starting lineup, but he was key. So Liverpool hasn't really changed. Yes, they brought in the likes of McAllister and everyone, but they haven't brought back their identity. So I feel midfield-wise, compared to the other big guns, your Manchester United, Arsenal, Manchester City, and Chelsea, I think they are the weakest link in the midfield compared to other side. Now, when you look at other teams, compare City and Arsenal, I think forward-wise, City is strong compared to Arsenal.
Arsenal has spent a lot of money.
Yeah, forward-wise. In fact, when you talk about striking force, yes, when we talk about striking force, I think City is on point. But when we talk about midfield-wise, in numbers and quality,
that makes me worry, though, Fabrice,
I think Arsenal is standing better than City.
We saw Arsenal and obviously Manchester United spending a lot of money trying to secure players, trying to make their teams just stop this big weight from winning a league title. Is that going to help them this season?
It might help them, especially for Arsenal. I'm not sure for Manchester United because some of the players they got, you don't understand where they fit in. But it's always the ideology of the coach to say there's a reason why I want this player. Yeah. I will give you an example. As we can see, the league is going to start. Arsenal played Manchester City over the weekend for the Community Shield. And the dominance of Arsenal within the midfield, your Partey, your Declan Rice, your Odegaard, made Pep Guardiola realize that, in as much as I've released Gundogan, I still need another creative player. Kovacic was not enough. And he has made Lucas Paqueta from West Ham his number 1 target. If you've seen how this player is skillful when he's playing for Brazil, that's how you want to respond. You see errors, you see mistakes, you respond fast. And these are some of the things that Chelsea or Manchester United, they need to... and now there is a fight of one specific player, Moses Caicedo, which I think some teams don't need him. I mean, yeah, Liverpool might need him to replace Fabinho. But City, they really need him? Yeah, they don't need Caicedo. They have Rodri. Manchester United, you put a question mark. Do you really need Caicedo? No, you ask yourself. Chelsea, maybe, they want to replace Kante. So there's that spirit of just buying for the sake of buying because there's competition. But for me, the starting opening fixture of the weekend, Arsenal against Nottingham Forest, they want to get 3 points on home soil. In front
I think
of
that's 3 points for Arsenal.
Yeah, that's pretty fancy. West Ham United, they're in a good mood also after signing
2 to 3 players. I think if anything doesn't change, Harry Maguire should be registered today. He was supposed to pass medical last night.
That's 3 points for West Ham.
I think anything. Bournemouth, they have got a good. Bournemouth, they have got a new coach, Gary One, unveiled yesterday.
Good
Brighton, coach. I think it's a team. Everyone is saying they have lost key players, but I believe in this team. I think they can once again finish in the top 8. Yeah. Everton, Fulham, mid-table teams. Sheffield United, Crystal Palace, also number 12, number 13 in the league. But this game, Newcastle United, Aston Villa. I think Unai Emery did a great job for Aston Villa last season. Newcastle United finishing now in the top 4. They want to show why they have actually also spent money. They have got good players. But the big game to give us the direction on Sunday, Chelsea, Liverpool. Can Porsche be back to winning ways? Can Liverpool also show strength after losing some of their key players? Then on Monday night, football night, Manchester United in the colours of their new signing, Mason Mount. We want to see how he's going to behave under the new number.
What's your prediction for the Chelsea and Liverpool? I want you to give me your predictions. Why are you running away from predicting the scores? Not the scores.
I think it
really.
Could be a draw, 1-1 draw. Yeah, 1-1 draw. Good football from Chelsea.
Just want to
be safe. 1-1 draw.
And then with Manchester United versus Wolves.
I think Manchester United will get the 3 points. Yeah, they'll get the 3 points. Like I said,
you said the Liverpool game and the Chelsea game is going to give us direction.
Yeah, the direction.
Give me your top 4 prediction. Just top 4 on the log standings. Let's say we're in February. Fast forward in February from this weekend. What's your top 4?
Manchester United, number 1. Arsenal, number 2.
Manchester United, number 1.
Sorry, Manchester City. Sorry. Manchester City, number 1. Arsenal, number 2. Liverpool, number 3.
Where's Chelsea?
Then Chelsea.
Fair enough. I want us to cross over to La Liga. We did speak briefly about champions Man City. I don't want us to focus too much on that. Let's talk about La Liga. Obviously, you got Barca, you got Madrid, you got Atletico. Those are always the team that we look forward to see.
Yeah.
What are we hoping for this season? I'm hoping for Barcelona to win the league.
I think they've made significant signings. I mean, incoming of Gundogan. But I think for me, the better investment was done by Real Madrid because now it's a youthful squad, and the veterans now come in to just polish. If you call Modric and if you call Cruz, they come in to polish. But the signing of Jude Bellingham, all those key players, and you look at your Vinicius.
Who's going to strike though? Who's going to strike? I think that's the big question for Real Madrid. They don't have a striker since Benzema went to join Cristiano in Saudi Arabia.
A couple of preseason games they have played with first number 9, and it has worked. Rodrigo can.
Do you think that can sustain them for the whole season?
They still want a striker. We hope before the window closes, they might get a striker.
But are they getting Mbappe?
And I think that's another issue I wanted us to talk after this league because there's a new twist. So they can always play with that first number 9. I think Rodrigo has showed that he can play that. So if you have Rodrigo,
can I ask you a question?
If you have Rodrigo in the center, you have got Vinicius
one quick question. Sorry to interrupt you.
On the side. Yeah.
Which team do you support in Spain?
And I don't have a team in Spain.
I always feel like you always lean towards Real Madrid. But anyway, keep going because they don't have a striker.
Yeah.
Their goalkeeper is injured.
Yeah.
So everything is questionable.
And that's why there are news
still you want to maintain that they will be competitive.
There's something that comes with Madrid. Maybe when it comes to the league, we can talk. But
are you sure you're not a Madrid supporter?
No, I'm not a Madrid supporter. I've followed these teams for the longest time, both Barcelona. The only identity that Barcelona has now that they brought back is the team spirit because of Xavi and the style of football. But if you're talking about how they're going to strike, for now, the first game, they might use the first number 9, Rodrigo. Then you've got Vinicius on the side. You still have got Valverde on the other side who can come in and make changes. But the center is the key. Once you have got Bellingham playing the center, he might start, and then Modric is there with the armband. And then I think that they still have to make changes. But the twist with Mbappe now, PSG came and said, you know what, just go, because we don't want you to leave for free next season. And then they put him on sale. The clubs came in Saudi Arabia. But then Madrid, they're smart enough to say, we're looking at your age. You're 24. Next season, you'll be 25. You'll be at your peak. So we can't really spend over 150 million just for you now when you can wait for 9 months. Let's wait for you for next season. So he's pushing a move out, Mbappe, because remember, next season, we have the Euros. Next summer in June, July, the Euros. He's now the new captain of France. He needs game time. PSG say, you know what, you're not part of our plans. As we speak, he's not training with the first team. He trains with the second team, where his brother plays. So it creates a lot of things. Teams came, Chelsea, Juventus, let's get you on loan. He said, you know what, those teams won't play Champions League like Chelsea, so I can get that exposure where people can say, this is Mbappe. Now, you know what, let me stay at PSG. Luis Enrique said, the new coach, I've got a list of 5 players that I don't have in my plans, including Neymar, who needs to be sold, who said he wants to go back to Barcelona. There's Mbappe, and there's also Verratti, the Italian midfielder. So there's so much twist. And then for Mbappe, now it's not about the money, because the money has been coming in. The agreement that he had with PSG when he came in, all those things. But now he's saying, I don't want to leave. PSG is like, no, we're good with you. Because now, if you want to stay, sign a new contract. Because if he signs a new contract, whoever that comes in summer next year, if he signs 2 years, anything above 2 years, anyone who comes in summer next year, they will be obliged to pay over 150 million. I want to make that money. But Madrid says, we can wait for you next summer in June, when we get you for free. I think that's where Florentino Perez, Madrid president, is quite smart to say, with what I have, Vinicius and everyone, I can wait for really 9 months and get you for free next season. But for Mbappe, he's thinking the future. Now, Messi is not in Europe. Cristiano Ronaldo is not in Europe. So the only competition that I have in Europe is only Haaland. So I need to make a statement, because now I'm supposed to be the key player. So it's quite interesting what's happening. So come back to Spain, Barcelona, in terms of their striking force, they look good. They have added blood in their midfield. Gundogan coming in, they look really strong. I'm tipping them maybe to win the league, maybe. But for Champions League, it's quite difficult, because you look at how the journey has to be, and you look at the exposure you need, the experience, the frustration that goes with preparing these games. So I don't really see them taking them to the final of Champions League. But for the league, they have 95% chances of winning the league.
Fabrice, we'll see how that unfolds. Let's talk about the Women's World Cup. You've been talking about it since it started. Spain just beat Netherlands this morning.
They've qualified for the semi-finals.
Yeah. In an interesting game, by the way. Labayuine, after 90 minutes, they scored their winning goal on the 111th minute. A deserved win for Spain. They've been on a good run.
I think they deserve win, and I think they've got some of the well-known players. I think if you look at Spain, they've got six players from Barcelona, they've got 2 from Madrid, they've got 1 from Arsenal, 2 from Manchester City. I think the player of the year who received the Golden Ball, Parella, the lady, he comes from Barcelona, he plays, he's the captain, so you understand that pressure that comes with playing for Spain. So I tip them to win. But also you have to look at England. England, they've got a tough game. Colombia, actually, they've been tipped as the most colorful and followed team in this World Cup, because the supporters all the way from America to go to New Zealand and support the way they're supporting. England have got a tough game, but you have to look at also some of their key players, like James' sister, James, the captain of Chelsea. I think she's a very key player in that England side. So
they have a head-to-head advantage record. They won their last game against Colombia.
So final, I'm tipping England, Spain. Remember that England are from winning the Euros in 2021. So England have got a chance of reaching the finals. I'm tipping them. The host nation, Australia against France. France, we saw what they did, against Morocco, another team that was hoping that on our side as an African continent. Because remember, in the last 16, we had 3 African teams, being South Africa, being Morocco and Nigeria, but none of them managed to make it to the quarterfinals. So I'm tipping France to proceed to the quarterfinals, to the semifinals. But for me, final, England, Spain.
Who do you see France facing in the semifinals? Because
it's exactly stage, because it's the way it is. Spain, after beating the Netherlands, they will play the winner between Japan and Sweden.
Okay. And Sweden is the #1 ranked team.
Yeah, Sweden is the #1 ranked team, but coming to this World Cup, they haven't really impressed me. If you look at how they played in their group.
I'll tell you what, I'm really scared of France, and I'll tell you why. The goals they've been scoring in their past 2 games, I mean, they scored 6 goals versus Panama, and they scored 4 goals versus Morocco.
Always be scared of the champions. England are from winning the Euros. Spain,
I just think you want England to win, and I think that's the problem with you right now. You're being hopeful, and I'm being objective, unfortunately.
Who does that? I don't want a team to win. I'm just putting my opinion out there. But what I've liked is that the Women World Cup is just up there.
Yeah.
I think never
Very
before
interesting.
5-7 years ago, you would never sit on TV just watch a women's game World Cup. But now you watch, you listen to analysis to say, you know what, Women's World Cup has just.
And we're not just watching because
yeah.
it's women. They play really good football.
Yeah.
Fabrice, thank you for joining us. We've come to the end of our sports segment. We are going to take a quick ad break. We'll wrap up the show with Lungelele quickly.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. You know the vibes, it's the beat down. The time is 8 p.m. It's time for you to relax. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the music videos that I got for you.
Moving no direction, like it's a calling. When I'm live in the middle of nowhere, shake the ground and burn the air. So yeah, yeah, you don't have to hold back for anything or anyone. Just on this.
Mkwelekisile imizuzu lemibili ukuthi kushaye insimi esiphohlongo sesifika maphethelwe nehlelo lefoni lomhla ekuseni. Thank you for joining us. Sizanivalile ithathe thama ukuthi indaba nempela somvalenhle nalebosisekele. We'll see you on Monday. Sala kahle.
Hayi Nkosi, nangabe phela ukhohliwe impepha takho buye eceleni. Awubuye eceleni phela thina sijake emsebentini awungeke phela. Ukhohlela le-ID nale nombolo yokuvota. Ilele basifakele yona phela la tincingweni. Ha, ngibonini? Buye eceleni Nkosi, yathi ngijake emsebentini kwani mina?